Hey, my friend. Today I want to have a very real, very candid, heart-to-heart talk with all of the high-achieving, dream-chasing women in our Digging Deeper tribe who are held back by fear. And of course, this includes our aspiring high achievers that know that the fear and the drama and the obstacles and challenges in life are holding you back. And today I actually want to tell you a story. I want to tell you the story of how one of the biggest, most humiliating moments of my entire life, an epic fail as a high school cheerleader, totally not only changed my life, but taught me one of the most important lessons that still serve me to this day. So I want to tell you the story of how I landed on my head as a high school cheerleader. So since I was very young, I always had this dream of being a high school cheerleader. Now remember, I grew up in Texas. Not only is it, in the center of the Bible Belt, but it is the center of Friday night lights, Friday night football, where football is king. So football, homecoming, cheerleaders, all of this is just a constant theme that we're hearing in Texas public high schools. And I had actually been a cheerleader starting from the 8th grade in junior high or middle school or intermediate school, as we call it in Texas, and then became a JV cheerleader, junior varsity cheerleader in 10th grade. And I was applying or trying out for the varsity cheerleading squad at the end of my 10th grade year going into the 11th grade. And of course, as fate would have it, of course, we know nothing is coincidence. I believe everything is divine providence. And as fate would have it, that year, they changed the rules that you had to be able to do a standing back handspring in order to make the varsity squad, because the competition cheer was really just taking full effect, where you basically had to be able to tumble and do backflips, etc., in order to be a cheerleader for the competition squad. So I had not been so great at tumbling. I had taken gymnastics and tumbling, through elementary school and middle school, but only slightly. It was not my thing. I was a soccer player, but I was a soccer player that also dreamed of being a cheerleader. I wanted to be popular. I craved being accepted and being liked and being a part of the in crowd, which you're going to hear about in a minute. But I really had this dream of being like the stereotypical fairy tale style high school cheerleader. So I don't know, I guess the coaching thing was inherently in my bones, because the moment that I found out that you had to be able to do a standing back handspring, I hired a coach. My mom agreed, my parents were fine with it, but I talked them into hiring me a coach to teach me how to do a back handspring. And I started a few months before tryouts. Now imagine, I'm a 10th grader going to gymnastics lessons with like elementary school kids, because usually it's elementary school girls that are taking the classes and learning how to do a back handspring. So I am the total oddball out at these gymnastic classes. And I'm willing to go through the embarrassment in order to master the skill and get the job done. And then I hire a private coach to work with me privately and teaching me these skills at a very late stage in life, when I'm already afraid of, jumping backwards, putting myself through the air. That's why you learn these skills as a little kid when you have no fear. Anyway, I learned how to do a running back handspring, and on the gymnastic wedge and on a soft ground with the coach there spotting my back, I was able to start doing the back handsprings, but it wasn't consistent and it certainly wasn't reliable. Fast forward, I was in that same exact place when it came around time for tryouts. I knew I could do a running back handspring. I had done it in my home, in my backyard, at the schoolyard. I was doing that one pretty consistently, but I was not able to really do the standing back handspring without the spot of my coach. Like him, just putting his hand there to give me the confidence to, do the backflip. So when it came time for tryouts, I knew the odds were against me, but it had been such a lifelong dream that I just could not allow myself to let it go without trying. So I just want to paint the picture for you. I walk into the gym where the entire varsity cheerleading squad is standing there as the judges with their clipboards. And you have to do a back handspring as a part of your audition, your tryout, along with the other cheers. So I stand there and I give it everything I have got. I know the odds are against me. I know I am going in basically to a firing squad. But I said, you know what? I am not gonna live the rest of my life wondering what if. I'm gonna give it everything I've got, and either I'm gonna land on my head or I'm gonna make it, but I am never gonna say I didn't try. So I went in there, and not once, not twice, but 3 times in a row, I attempted a back handspring and landed on my head every single time. Honestly, it's a miracle I didn't break my neck. To say I was humiliated would be the understatement of the century. And thank God they did not actually laugh me out of the gym. I do think I held my composure together until I got out of the gym before I burst into full-blown, ugly crying, like deep heaving, humiliation-bound tears. And I remember going home that day. My mom actually had sent me to school with a Snickers bar before tryouts because, this is back in the day where you thought, Snickers are going to give you all the strength and the power and everything that you need to overcome mountains, just like all the commercials would say. It didn't work. And I just remember that I laid in my bed with the covers over my head, wallowing in my own self-pity and embarrassment and utter humiliation for what seemed like days. I sent my mom up to the school to check the roster to confirm what I already knew, and she read the public roster of who had made the squad. Of course, my name was not on there. And I feel like I laid in bed for days because I was too embarrassed and too humiliated and too disappointed to even get out of bed and face my failure. So, what did I learn from this exercise? It was completely and totally a lesson in failure and the fear of failure, and really just understanding that falling on my face, landing on my head, completely embarrassing myself around not only just my peers, but the people I looked up to, my role models, it didn't kill me. In fact, it made me stronger. How did it make me stronger? Well, I learned a lifelong lesson to never let the fear of failure stop you. You know the old saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So I definitely came out of that stronger for the rest of my life. And I learned that if we really want to succeed in life, if you want to achieve your purpose, and if you want to stretch your limits, you cannot live bound by the fear of failure. There's an old saying, if you want to be liked, sell ice cream. But if you really want to step into your greatness and test your limits on what you are capable of and master new skills and cover new ground, you've got to be willing to take risks. And risks involve failure. There are no guarantees in life. We're not even guaranteed tomorrow. Okay, all I can think of when I think of absolutely being guaranteed is shop at Walmart. Okay, that's the place that you can go if you've destroyed it, if you have used it, if you have ruined it, it doesn't matter what. They take everything back, no questions asked, guaranteed. But that's not real life. We can't live with a 100% guaranteed policy on what is going to happen tomorrow. And I remember as a kid, I used to follow my dad around the house with this big, long laundry list of all the things I wanted to be and see and do and have and become. And he used to say to me, well, little dreamer, as long as you're dreaming, you may as well dream big. And that's one of the things that I learned to do through this process of embracing failure is if we really want to dream big, talk big, walk big, live big, it means that we're also going to fall big. And that's okay, because success is not determined by whether or not you fall down. It's determined by whether or not you get back up. So you're going to fall down 6 times like our ancient sages say, you're going to get back up 7. And one of the things that I have learned the hard way, just through the hard knocks of life, is that when you learn to embrace your fears, there's another old adage, do what you fear, and the death of fear is certain. What does that mean? It means the more you really lean into those things that you're afraid of, because we know the acronym for fear, FEAR, false evidence appearing real. So the more we lean into these fears, the more all those fears dissipate. They go away. And then what are we left with? We're left with the experience, the skills, the confidence, the strength, and the sheer grit that come from pushing through those fears, right? But I need you to know this is not something that came naturally to me. I used to be deathly afraid of failure. In fact, I was really afraid of what other people thought. I can't even tell you, I wasted way too many years of my life living based on other people's perceptions of me, or what I was assuming were their perceptions of me. And now, much of my daily inner dialogue is all about pushing myself out of my comfort zone and stretching my limits. And I have to ask myself multiple times per day, do I want to be comfortable? Or do I want to step into my greatness? Do I want to embrace my purpose in life? Do I want to stretch my limits and find what I'm really, truly made of? And here's what I want you to know. Greatness, it's not a personality trait. In fact, it's a birthright for every single one of us. But whether or not we tap into our own inner greatness, that's up to each one of us. Are we willing to dig through all the dirt and really, filter through and mine all that coal in order to discover our own inner gold? You got this, mama. Remember, everything you want in life is on the other side of that fear. Love ya.